Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. October 2nd, 2017.
179 agents coming from upstairs in the Mandalay Bay. Upstairs in Mandalay Bay, halfway up, I see the shots coming from Mandalay Bay. We have multiple casualties, GSWs in the medical tent. Multiple casualties.
Repeat, just be advised, it is automatic fire. Fully automatic fire from an elevated position. Take cover.
Multiple GSWs to the chest, legs, femoral arteries, at the medical tent. At the medical tent, 4A, off of Guile, south of Reno.
106 here on the great WRKO. Okay, we're going to have you covered completely on this story, my friends. Stay with us here on the Kuhner Report. Okay, look, let me just say a couple of quick points, and then I want to dive back into the blazing phone lines. 617-266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. 58 dead, now over 500 injured. Doctors are now saying the death toll is going to rise considerably. This is not even close. This is by far the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. And I just said this to one of the salespeople when we were off the air. I went for a quick restroom break, and I said, this country's becoming like the Middle East. I mean, this is turning into Baghdad. Like, are we living in, really, seriously, are we living in Fallujah? Are we living in Baghdad, or are we living in the United States of America? Because it's one bombing after another, it's one shooting after another, it's one massacre after another. And now, I mean, they were dropping like flies yesterday. For what? For going to a concert? Outdoors? I don't even feel like I'm living in America anymore. And so, and I said this, we got to start producing better people. I mean, just as a country, as a whole. People want to blame guns, they want to blame ammunition, they want to blame everything. There's something sick in our culture. I'm sorry, my friends, but someone's got to say it. That, and of course, the rise of terrorism. So you have ISIS now claiming credit for this terrorist attack. By the way, Antifa, or at least several members of Antifa, now they're claiming credit. So now you don't know if these are whack jobs that are claiming credit. So we don't know yet, but someone's got to be lying. I mean, it can't be both. But now you already have these violent, militant extremist groups claiming credit for the largest mass shooting in American history. And what is now even compounding the situation is I want you now to listen to Brianna Hendricks. She was in Las Vegas celebrating her 21st birthday. She and her mother, there are other witnesses as well, but she and her mother are witnesses. They say, you don't understand. There was a 5'5" Hispanic woman with brown hair, along with what appeared to be her Hispanic husband. And they rushed into the crowd, and they were yelling frantically here's exactly what she said. Quote, "They're all around. You're all going to blank and die today. They're all around. You're all going to blank and die today." Now, according to Brianna Hendricks, this scared a lot of people, obviously. They weren't sure if she was unhinged, deranged, crazy. They don't even know if this was a warning now in retrospect, or whether she was part of this conspiracy, or whatever you want to call it. This was part of this she was part of the team that was out there gloating, taunting them that they were going to massacre these people at the concert, at the Harvest Country Music Festival. She says, we're just not sure, by the way, she was just so frantic, the way she was yelling and screaming, but she kept saying, you're all going to blank and die, and that was about 45 minutes before the actual gunfire erupted. Listen now to Brianna Hendricks. Roll it, Brittany.
There was a lady who pushed her way forward into the concert venue, into the first row, and she started messing with another lady and told us that we were all going to die tonight.
Do you know why she was saying that? I mean, was this after the shots were fired, or?
It was about 45 minutes before the shots were actually fired, but then she was escorted out by security.
How does that make you feel? I mean,
it makes me feel uncomfortable, especially coming here for my 21st birthday and not knowing if I'm safe, not even knowing if I'm safe going home tomorrow on an airplane. So,
and how did you get out of the venue after this all happened?
we actually weren't there whenever the shooting had occurred. We had already left about maybe 10, 15 minutes before that, but we just barely made it back into our room whenever it started.
And I mean, were you thinking, oh my gosh, this woman told us that before we left?
Yeah, I thought it had a positive correlation to it. Like, obviously, she was telling us that in either to tell us, to warn us, or to tell us that we were all going to die, and she was part of it.
Describe to me what this woman looked like.
Her and her boyfriend were both Hispanic. They were probably about shorter 5-footers, probably about 5'5", 5'6". They just look like everyday people.
So she's not even sure if they were trying to be warned or if they were gloating or taunting them. Now, these just may be two crazy people. This may be completely unconnected to what happened, okay? But you've got to consider this. You can't just, ignore it. So you've got eyewitnesses, and there's more. I mean, she's the one that went on the air, but there's many more saying, no, this woman was running around yelling, saying, you're all going to die, you're all going to die. So that also, to me, adds a very interesting possible angle to this. I want to throw one more quick log on the fire, and then I want to take all your calls. 617-266-6868. And this I have to say, and I don't want you to dump this, Brittany. This I have to say. There's been a lot of conversations lately and a lot of debates about Black Lives Matter and the police and the NFL taking a knee and all these players protesting and police brutality. Let me tell you now what many of the witnesses who were there said about the police, not just the on-duty police, but the off-duty. There's a lot of off-duty police officers at that country music concert. They said to a man and a woman, what was incredible is that while we were all throwing ourselves on the ground, while we were all running and hiding, it was the police officers who stood up, making themselves huge targets as they tried to get us to safety. According to, I can read to you many of these testimonials, but here's just one of them. While everyone else was crouching, I saw police officers standing up as targets, just trying to direct people and tell them where to go. This amount of bravery that I saw there, words cannot describe what it was like. Other witnesses, we were lying on the ground, blood everywhere. I had to plug holes in people from the bullets. And as we were on the ground yelling, screaming, crying, police were everywhere standing up, trying to protect us and get us to shelter and safety. Many of them were gunned down and killed as they saved our lives by giving up theirs. You guys going to take a knee this Sunday? Hey, tough guys. You guys going to take a knee tonight? Huh? You going to protest the anthem and the flag tonight? Are you going to, hey, macho men? They always run down the police until when something like this happens. And then you see how many of them are willing to risk their lives to protect yours. And had it not been for the police there, everybody that was there says the body count would have been much, much, much higher. And for the record, for all of you race baiters and race pimps out there, to you, the Boston Globe, to you, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 25, to all of you, Roger Goodell in the NFL, they put their bodies on the line, and they didn't care the color of the skin of the people that they were dying to defend. They didn't care if those concert goers were white, brown, or black. You owe them an apology. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let's go to Skippy in South Boston. Go ahead, Skippy.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Jeff, listen, you started off by saying at the beginning of the show that the officers of the FBI, whoever, found 12 weapons, multiple weapons, correct?
Yes, over 10 weapons.
10. All right. So I think here's where you can try to figure out why there may be two windows, involved because the 32nd floor of the Mandalay, it may not just be a room, it may be a suite. And if you have a suite, it's going to encompass two areas. You may have a dividing door, but that may explain the two windows. Now, if I have 10 weapons, and I'm a bad guy, and I'm going to really cause havoc, 5 weapons in front of one window, 5 in front of the other. Now, one weapon sounds like a machine gun. Now, it may have been a regular semi-automatic. You could pay big money to get that thing turn that into a machine gun. So there's where the discrepancy. This one had a machine gun, then he runs down, and the other weapons may have been just regular semi-automatics. So that may explain, if it was a suite, he could have set up, because you can't be like ducks. Shooting people, see them run that way. Shooting them, and now they have to run back again. He was been playing with them all that time. So that may explain that. And as far as Seth Moulton and ISIS, what they have in common, they're both opportunists. Seth Moulton wants to be the first one. Oh, I was the first one to call for the total ban of this and that and NRA. ISIS is an opportunist because he'll use any casualty that happens, even if it's not with them. And I know the investigation is pending. Maybe it'll turn up, but they'll use anything to get these fringe mental case ISIS wannabes to say, yeah, they'll send out these things on the internet. Oh, they're going to be doing it for Allah, and they're trying to incite them.
Skippy, thank you for that call. Look, that's why, and thank you. That's why I'm taking what they said with a grain of salt. I said it from the beginning. They are claiming responsibility. To be honest, most of the time, not all, but most of the time, when they do claim responsibility, they were behind it. But in this case, their stronghold is about to fall. Trump is smashing them literally in Syria and in Iraq. They're on the run. They desperately need a PR victory. So they could conveniently say, you see, that was us. We're killing the infidel in the heart of America. But this could all be smoke and mirrors. So I do want to wait till more evidence comes out. I think, though, what is clear beyond the shadow of a doubt, from what I've seen, I don't think this guy is unhinged. Unlike some of these other, an Adam Lanza or the Aurora, Colorado shooter, from everything I've been reading about, he worked at Lockheed Martin, his family, everyone's saying, well, no, he wasn't schizophrenic, he wasn't mentally ill. So I think there were some political motivations behind it. In fact, listen now to his brother. This is Eric Paddock. He lives in Florida, takes care of the 90-year-old mom. Listen to what he says. Roll it, Brittany.
He had a couple of guns, but they were all handgun legal. I mean, he might have had one long gun, but he had them in a safe, and he had no machine guns. I moved his house. I mean, there were no machine guns. Find out who he got the machine guns from. Where the hell did he get the machine guns? There's no political, there's no religious, there's no any of that stuff.
I don't know what he's laughing about. Is it just me or like, ha, 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 he had no machine guns, ha, 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 ha. I'm like, hey, Joker, what's so funny? You've got 58 dead, over 500 injured. Like, I'm sorry, where's the humor here? But anyway, the point is, at least according to the brother, he's not saying, hey, Stephen Paddock was crazy, mentally ill, schizophrenic. So far, that's not what's coming out. So to me, then, the question is, why? Jane in Rhode Island. Go ahead, Jane.
Jeff, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. First time, long time.
Welcome, Jane. Welcome.
I've turned quite a few people on to you. And just wanted to say, you are a gift from Canada to us.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say that this morning I said to my husband, how much you want to bet? We're going to find out. It's one of these leftists who wanted to shoot these people because most of them are probably conservatives there. And he can take out a lot of them at once. And even if it is ISIS coming out and taking credit and they did turn this guy, well, we know he wasn't a conservative.
Well,
he was a Democrat if they turned him.
Jane, thank you for that call. Look, this is from 617. By the way, you can text us at 680-680. Jeff, the media, 617. Jeff, the media is trying to suppress this. Stephen Paddock was a registered Democrat. Hint, hint. Interesting. Look, We don't know yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was, one of these crazy Bernie types, like what we saw in Northern Virginia with the shooting of those Republican congressmen, Antifa, whatever, a violent radical leftist, and maybe ISIS hooked up with him and gave him the guns. I mean, in other words, there could be both. He could be a violent leftist, and where do you get the guns? ISIS is in 50, they're all in all 50 states. They could have easily given him the guns. 617-266-6868. More with your calls. Next. 126 here on the great WRKO. Let's go to Russ. You're up next. Go ahead, Russ.
Several things to say. I'll start off with Elizabeth Warren, who is nothing but Chuck Schumer's puppet. And he is the biggest scumbag in Washington, D.C. Then you take Seth Moulton, a turncoat veteran like John Kerry. And remember, here in Massachusetts, the American left idolizes turncoat veterans. They love them because they turn around and they do things that are really against our way of life. Now, as far as the shooting is concerned, Jeff, you mentioned our culture. Yes, our culture is in the toilet. I'm 70 years old, and I grew up in a multicultural neighborhood, and we all came from the same family values. We respected each other's traditions, and at the same time, we all shared the American culture. And today, all of that is in the toilet. As Mike Savage says, a nation is defined by its borders, its language, and its culture. And believe me, we're in the toilet in all three phases. Now, at this time, would have, could have, should have. What I want to know is the background of this person 100%, and to profile this and try to prevent these things from happening again. So that's what's most important. The other thing is, these hotels in the Strip in Las Vegas, these are multi-billion dollar businesses. You mean to tell me that they cannot have metal detectors? And I don't care if it takes more time. You put all the luggage through a metal detector and make sure that no one gets into your hotels that has a bunch of guns. I mean, you got to be kidding me. This guy had several weapons, and he was able to get through in a hotel. It is outrageous, Jeff.
Russ, thank you for that call. Look, I've been to Vegas only at the airport as a layover. I've never actually been to Vegas itself. And I have no desire to go. Honestly, especially after today. Jake in Newton. Go ahead, Jake.
Hey, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jake?
Well, obviously a very fluid situation, no doubt about it. But I'll say this to Senator Warren there, the chief. I agree with you that she should not have put her foot in the gun control thing right now. It's probably not such a good time. We're going to be burying people left and right. But since she's done it, I guess I'll buy the bait. And I'll ask her a question. Would she be okay with a law that gets passed at the federal level, a federal statute, that completely takes away assault weapons from Capitol Hill Police? Would she be willing to, and by the way, you can be rest assured wherever she goes, I bet a lot of the time, but not all the time, most likely she has armed security.
Oh, yeah, she's got a ton. But trust me on this, she's got a ton of security.
Okay, so when you had her in the hallway, maybe you probably saw them packing.
She's got a lot of security. Believe me, Jake, she's well taken care of.
Okay, and then I'll move along here. I can be quick. This is what you're going to see, too, and Brittany, mark the tape. Within the next week, you're going to see, probably next week or two, you're going to see one of those public service announcements done by all the lefty Hollywood people. It's time to end the violence, get rid of the guns, that kind of thing. But then I guarantee you, in February, when they go to the Oscars, the Oscars is swarming with assault weapons. Absolutely swarming with assault weapons. So basically it's twofold. They think that their lives are more precious than someone who goes to a country concert.
Bingo.
They have this kind of mentality that, we want to get rid of assault weapons, but when we want them outside the Oscars, or we need them on Capitol Hill for us.
You nailed it. Look, let me put it all to you bluntly, a little bit crudely, but bluntly, as honestly as I can possibly put it. Last night was a massacre of the deplorables. That's what took place. White, country music patriots who went to a concert. A lot of off-duty cops and a lot of veterans. 58 dead, over 500 injured. According to the left, their lives are not precious. They don't have the right to defend themselves. But when it comes to the Elizabeth Warrens of the world and the Robert De Niros and the George Clooney's of the world, they can have all the protection with all the assault weapons imaginable. Because in their mind, a liberal life, an elitist life, is worth a hell of a lot more than a deplorable's life. Okay, I've got brand new shocking information about the shooter, his background. You don't want to miss it. And for the latest update, let's go to Evan in the newsroom. 1:36 here on the great WRKO. Okay, now we're starting to get a bit of a fuller picture of Stephen Paddock, the Las Vegas madman now responsible for the murders of at least 58 Americans, over 500 injured, by far the worst mass shooting in American history. So here is now what the Daily Mail is reporting. And I've just got to say this. Crisis after crisis, I often have to go to the British press to frankly get the best reportage, not from the American media, but let that go. So the Daily Mail is now reporting that the father of Stephen Paddock apparently was a psychopath himself. He was a bank robber, this is the old man now, who apparently escaped federal prison in the late 1960s and landed on the FBI's most wanted list. So apparently Stephen Paddock's dad was a serial felon by the name of Benjamin Haskins Paddock. Benjamin Paddock had been locked up in 1960 for robbing an Arizona bank. He was a bank robber. He escaped in 1968 and apparently spent 3 years on the lam. He was on the run. He was on the FBI's most wanted list until the FBI finally caught up to him in Las Vegas in 1971. So we do now know that the shooter's father was, a psychopath himself, a guy who committed numerous crimes, a bank robber who was on the run from the FBI and was on the FBI's most wanted list. So I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. 617-266-6868. Now, to be perfectly honest with all of you, like I'm in the confessional, I am getting a lot of texts from all of you. You can text us 680-680, saying that there are images out there or videos of Stephen Paddock at anti-Trump protests. So the question now is he an anti-Trump leftist? Was this a repetition of what took place in Northern Virginia with the shooting of Steve Scalise and the other Republican members of Congress? Brittany and I have been going through this footage during the breaks. What they say they think is Stephen Paddock, I don't think is Stephen Paddock. There's a couple of protests that people are saying, does this look like Stephen Paddock? To me, it does not look like Stephen Paddock. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me on this, Brittany, but a little bit of a resemblance, but I don't think that's him.
A little bit of a resemblance, Jeff, but I don't know. If the picture's blurry, the video's blurry, and they try to zoom in on his face and just makes it where you can't tell whether it's him or not. We don't know. We
don't have a clear resolution, so I don't...
And he's with a woman, and they look very...
close.
They look like they're together.
Yeah. Now, he is divorced.
Yeah, but this was in August.
This was in August, so it doesn't make sense.
If he has, this other woman, Mary Lou...
Yeah, the girlfriend.
Then he wasn't with her, so I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't really think it's him.
I can't confirm it. Let's just put it this way. I cannot confirm it. 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Let's go to John in Braintree. Go ahead, John.
Hey, how's it going, Kuhner?
Good.
I just think this whole thing is really stinks to high heaven. Somebody had just said a little bit ago the same thing. I mean, these casinos have more security than probably even some portions of our government. I mean, they are locked down in a way that they can tell if you're counting cards from a camera. How the heck does a retired 60-something-year-old person with no background in the military get over 10 rifles or guns into this heavily secured area, and nobody figures it out or notices or thinks like, hey, what's going on? I mean, I just, this stinks of like the type of operations that are done in the Middle East and South America in the 70s and 80s that get people riled up, you know, and start to divide society. We've never seen like anything like this in the United States because before, you know, we held most of the cards power-wise globally, but I think we really are starting to come under attack, both internally and externally. And I think, you know, we're all panicking about, oh, this shooter, that shooter, and the left and the right. But I think there's something much more insidious than that. I think that we are starting to be manipulated in a way that soon, you know, what the end goal here is to create a civil war. And I think that we need to start looking at, you know, the middle of the road again, because what we're doing is getting drawn in by something more insidious, and I think it has to do with the deep state and the push for the global government. I really do, and I think that this is the kind of crap that they pull in other countries, and they're doing it here now too.
John, thank you for that call. Look, what I can just say is this. Okay, I'm just going by the facts. According to what the people at the Mandalay Resort Hotel, this is what they said, that he checked in under his girlfriend's ID. Mary Lou, was it Donnelly? How do you pronounce her last name? Mary Lou
I think Donnelly.
Donnelly, whatever. He used her ID. He checked in on September 28th. He had over 10 rifles, and don't forget, a ton of ammunition. I mean, there was ammo everywhere in that room. Now, they're not even sure if he left the room. So he was there for days before this massacre took place. So, you're going to tell me that security didn't pick up all of those guns? All that ammunition? They're questioning now the maids. Did they come in and clean the rooms? What did they see when they were in the rooms? Were they locked out from the rooms? Did he walk out of the room? Where did he go? Did he hang out at the Mandalay, the hotel or not? So, there's still a lot of holes in this picture that we have to fill. The other thing is you've got two blown out windows. And when you look at it from the outside, either he rented a mother suite or it was in a different room. Because those two windows are quite far apart. And he just picked them off. I mean, they were sitting ducks. He struck on the third night where the crowd was going to be the largest, where there was going to be a disproportionate number of off-duty police officers and veterans. You have ISIS claiming responsibility, and now, from everything I'm reading, some members of Antifa out on the West Coast are claiming responsibility. So you have other groups now claiming responsibility. We're going to find out eventually. But, look, I agree with you, John. Something smells. There's something about this that just doesn't smell right. And you've got the family saying, you know, he's not political, he's not religious, he's not mentally ill, he just snapped. He just snapped. Well, to me, you know, if I just quote-unquote snap because I'm under too much pressure or whatever, you know, honestly, I rate a bag of M&Ms. Maybe I honk at somebody in the car. Maybe I flip them the bird. I don't go buy 10, 11, 12, whatever, weapons, machine guns, semi-automatics, whatever, and then just start mowing people down at a concert. I don't do that. So there's still a lot here we're not being told. And I hope there's somebody in the Las Vegas Sheriff Department that's going to be honest enough when they go through that house to tell us exactly what they do find. 617-266-6868. Because so far, this doesn't pass the smell test. Scott in Revere. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I think you're exactly right. It doesn't pass the smell test. This is, you know, such a thing. Trump wants to ban certain countries from coming in, and the left sits there and yells, you can't blame them all. They're not all terrorists. Muslims are fine. And here you are. You have someone that has an assault rifle, and now all assault rifles have to be taken away. It's just more government control over us, left side of the government control over us.
I mean, look, we're going to have to find out. But, I mean, to me, what's incredible, and thank you for that call, Deal, is that how quick, it was like within 2 hours. The shooting begins at 10:09. It lasts about 10 minutes. By midnight, Elizabeth Warren is up with the tweets. By midnight or 1 a.m, Seth Moulton, Ed Markey, Chris Murphy from Connecticut. I mean, they're all out there. Gun control. Hollywood. All of them. Tom Arnold, Alyssa Milano, all just gun control. Gun control, gun control. Just boom. They're already on message. I mean, initially, I don't know if you remember this, but when Fox first broke the story, they said 2 dead, 24 injured. Gun control. Then they said 10 dead, over 100 injured. Gun control. Then they said over 20 dead and over 200 gun control. So it just, no matter what the body count was, what the facts were, gun control, gun control, gun control, gun control. I mean, they never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. Let's go to Dave in Newton. Go ahead, Dave.
Jeff, I can give you an idea how we got the men. Back in the old days of boot camp, they had the big old-fashioned duffel bags. And you could put a lot of those toys in a duffel bag and just put a padlock on top of it, and nobody's going to see anything. So they couldn't have checked his bags if he had a couple of duffel bags. Nobody would even notice it.
Dave, I mean, I'm just asking you, though, that many guns, that much ammo?
Yeah.
Really?
It's insane. The old-fashioned duffel bags, when I was in boot camp, you could put about maybe 50 pounds of clothes and everything in them. So if he only had the ammo in one and he had the guns in the other, or you could even, a lot of guns you could take apart and put back together, like Robert De Niro did in the movie Taxi.
Oh, I saw that movie. Thank you for that call, Dave. Well, look, Hollywood is pontificating, and they're going on and on now about how we need gun control and take away assault weapons and take away semi-automatics and take away this. And I cannot see a Hollywood film anymore without 50, 100, 200 dead. They're shooting each other in the face. They're shooting each other in the eye. They're blowing up buses. They're blowing up buildings. They're blowing up everything. So you have Hollywood that all they do is glorify violence, marinate people in violence, and they're lecturing us there's too much violence? Now, I understand they're doing make-believe and this is real, but, how about a little responsibility from your guys' end? If you guys care so much about gun violence, well then, stop it with the massacres every time I go see a movie. I mean, if they haven't killed 100 people in a movie, it's like, forget it. You got to kill at least 50 an hour. If you haven't killed 50 an hour, forget it. I don't know. There's some kind of a board or something, I guess, in Hollywood. I'm being sarcastic, but hold on. 47 dead, 48 dead. Yeah, okay, the head came off. 49. Well, you didn't hit 50. No, you got to add 2 more in there. You got to do 50 an hour. So for these guys to be lecturing us, that's what the Jews call chutzpah. Dan in Woburn. Go ahead, Dan.
Jeff, I think I'm 100% accurate on this assessment, but I'm willing to bet, I'll bet my life on it, that he had the gun shipped in there. I used to go to trade shows out in Vegas all the time, and you can't possibly carry all that marketing material. And I would ship 100-pound boxes, with marketing material because you can't take them on the plane. They should check the hotel shipping records. I'm willing to bet he had the gun shipped in, or he left his door open. Someone was else in the room. He didn't use his card, and he just went out to his trunk and got a couple of rifles each day, brought them back into the hotel. They only track you by your card key movement, and there's nothing to track if he doesn't open and close the door with the card key.
So, Dan, you're saying so you could come in there, load up your room with, have it shipped in, let's say from wherever it was, have it shipped in, load up your room with guns and ammo. You lock the door. You don't want maids, room service, nothing, no maid. Nobody comes in. You get yourself ready, and then in a couple days, you blow out a few windows, and you just start mowing them down.
Yeah, because packages that big down there, they have conferences all the time. So I would ship like a booth that we would have to put together, and it would come in big black packages that weighed 100, 200 pounds. Nobody's going to think anything of it. They have conferences there all the time. I'm willing to bet he shipped it in. They ought to check the shipping records.
Interesting.
I'm willing to bet that's how he did it.
Very interesting. Really good call. 617-266-6868. More with your calls next. 156 here on the great WRKO. Ron in Quincy. You're up next. Go ahead, Ron.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Good, good. How are you, Ron?
Good. I just think I can answer one of your questions on why this guy got the guns into the room without anybody noticing or sounding alarms. This weekend in Las Vegas is a gun show. A lot of gun dealers will stay at, I've stayed many a times at Mandalay Bay. A lot of gun dealers will stay at the hotels, Mandalay Bay, MGM, Caesars, and they bring their goods with them, their guns with them to sell at the show, and ammunition. So,
and ammunition. Ron. Okay, that explains a lot now, Ron.
Now, either one or two things. He could have got it in that way and snuck it through with all the, with all the hoopla going on with this event this weekend, or he could have easily put it in a golf bag and just covered it up with other clubs and stuff like that. You would have never noticed it. It would look like somebody going to a golf tournament or something, playing golf out there. I mean, there's easy ways to get it in. I've never had anybody at Mandalay Bay ever check and look in my bags to see what I have. So, I mean, it's very easy to come up on those things. But I noticed this morning when the newscast, there was a big sign at Mandalay Bay right down the street where that fabulous Las Vegas sign is. There's a billboard right there advertising October 7th and 8th is a gun show in Las Vegas. So that's probably one of the reasons that no alarm has been set off with any of these people.
Interesting. Interesting. Ron, thank you for that call. Vinny in Boston, you're up next. Go ahead, Vinny.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure, Vinny.
I'm for gun control. I think Maura Healey should change the gun law and let us get our AR-15s back so we can protect ourselves from these psychos that are out there. Point number two. I don't know how many videos you've watched. There's one video floating around. Everyone is scattering around, running for cover. Everyone's running for cover. But this one person is filming with a cell phone, and they're not moving. They're rock steady. The hand isn't flailing around. This person is just standing there filming. Not running like everybody else, not scattering, not hitting the ground. Just his hand is steady as a rock filming. I find that very strange.
Now, Vinny, I mean, let me try to, pull it out of you a little bit. Do you think maybe that's a person that was in coordination or in concert, maybe another ISIS agent or whoever, to get a propaganda film and put that out on the internet?
Well, you never know. Hey, I'm going to be standing over here. Don't shoot over here.
It's funny you should mention that. I mean, I've been looking at a lot of the footage, and you're right. There's bodies everywhere, and this guy steady as a rock, filming. Okay, a lot more. Don't touch that dial.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 2 o'clock.